Naval War College community, family, friends, and guests, welcome. I'm Captain Cindy Dieterle, the Dean of Students, and will be serving as the MC for today's ceremony. You are welcome to take pictures at any time throughout the ceremony. We have official photographers taking pictures today, and you will find those photos posted on our Flickr site for you to download. At this time, as a courtesy, please put your cell phones on silent or vibrate and remove badges if you wear a badge. Please remain seated for the student procession. Please rise and remain standing for the arrival of the official party, national anthem, and the invocation. The national anthem will be sung by musician second class Holden Moyer from the Navy Band Northeast.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Commander Robert Fastnock, Command Chaplain, Naval Station Newport, will deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Mighty Creator of the wind and waves, we enter your gates with thanksgiving in our hearts. Today, we celebrate with these students who will have a global impact as they leave this place to ensure peace by sea power. Bless the leadership and staff of this institution with wisdom and discernment. We ask for your safety for the family, friends, and crews of those who are represented here. We thank you for the supports of their loved ones, and may we all learn to have a greater love. We thank you for the hard work and dedication of each student. We thank you for their instructors and the staff who have facilitated a world-class education. May all that is said and done here bring you glory. In all your holy names we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the members of our official party. Professor William Nault, Interim Dean, College of Leadership and Ethics. Dr. Paul Brister, Dean, Center for Naval Warfare Studies. Rear Admiral Retired Edward Cashman, Dean, College of Maritime Operational Warfare. Professor Walt Wildeman, Dean, College of Distance Education. Professor Robert Winnick, Deputy Dean, International Programs and Maritime Security Cooperation. Dr. Phil Hahn, Dean of Academics. Dr. Thomas Gibbons, Associate Provost, United States Naval War College. Professor Sean Sullivan, Joint Military Operations Department. And Rear Admiral Shoshana S. Chatfield, the 57th President of the United States Naval War College. Several years ago, we began a tradition at the U.S. Naval War College of allowing the graduating student body to nominate their guest speaker from amongst all the talented professionals at the college. I would like to ask graduating students, Lieutenant Commander Katie Irwin and Lieutenant Commander Michael Mully, to introduce their faculty guest speaker. Katie, Mike, the podium is yours.
Good afternoon, Admiral, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, and most importantly, our March 2023 Naval War College graduating shipmates. We are honored to introduce our graduation speaker, Professor Sean Sully Sullivan.
Sully was chosen as our graduation speaker through a democratic process of voting by the students. The Dean of Students' Office assures us that there was no Russian interference despite some claims of aggressive Rhode Island-style campaigning. Sully's had an impressive background, having served in the Navy for 22 years, from 1983 to 2005 as a surface warfare officer and the backbone of the Navy, before retiring as a commander.
That's right, Mike. After retiring from the Navy, Sully was hired as professor at the Naval War College, where he has taught over an impressive 50 seminars to our students. But Sully's talents just don't stop there.
Sully's also a graduate of Rochester University, where he played baseball as a catcher, and is also a proud graduate of the Naval War College. And if that's unimpressive enough, Sully is also a professional bowler with a 202 bowling average and having thrown multiple 300 games. And has also won 2 individual Rhode Island state championships for bowling.
And let's not forget about Sully's secret sauce. He's been selling his famous barbecue sauce for almost 30 years. And it has become a beloved staple in the Rhode Island community.
But what makes Sully truly remarkable is his dedication to his students. He has a unique ability to inspire and motivate them, especially during challenging times. Sully is especially famous for telling struggling Naval War College students before tests or submitting essays, "I like your chances."
Strange, he said that to me quite a lot. Sully's accomplishments, dedication, and inspiring words make him the perfect graduation speaker for the March 2023 class of the Naval War College. We are honored to have him speak to us and can't wait to hear what he has to say. Please join us in welcoming Sully to the stage.
I like the chances.
Thank you very much. And when Mike said the backbone of the Navy, he didn't mean me. He meant surface warfare. All right. Yeah, no, can you imagine being teaching a class with Katie and Mike in it? I'll give you a little minute to think about that. Okay. Now, it was a great group. Like so much that we do here at the War College, we are routinely spectacular on a daily basis. It's the combination of the students that are here, officers and government officials from all over government and the military come here and team with our faculty for 1 year. And which is not enough time, but it's enough time, and it's a real enjoyment for all of us. So I am Sully and I am your graduation speaker. And I want to welcome the graduates here today, but also all the family and friends that are joining us. And for those of you who don't know me, you're likely curious about me and my selection as your graduation speaker. And for those of you who do know me, you're likely equally as curious about the same thing. And as for me, I was just as curious as all of you. When last week, Captain Dieterle came to my office to share this great news with me, and I was as close to overcome as the Sullivan could get. This was so unexpected and such a tremendous honor for me. It is extremely meaningful. But at that moment, apparently, I became the first election denier in America to question the results of an election in which they prevailed. But, yeah. This is a great honor to speak to all of you on graduation here from the Naval War College, and I cannot thank you and the college enough for giving me this chance. This is a professional honor for me to speak at a ceremony where military officers are recognized for their work and mastery of the military art of war, where they are awarded joint professional military education and a master's degree. And for me to be part of that, this is a professional reward. But there is also a personal side to this honor for me. My father, John Sullivan, served in the Navy in the cruiser USS Albany during the Korean War. John Sullivan loved the Navy, and so much of that experience shaped his life and his path. After the war, John Sullivan spent a year with the St. Louis Cardinals farm system, and then it was off to college. The GI Bill allowed him a path through Central Connecticut State College, then to graduate school, faculty at Post University, where he taught political science and coached the baseball and basketball team. But like all New Englanders, every New Englander, he loved Newport. On a regular basis, John would pack up the family in the Ford Falcon, turn the radio on to CBS News Channel out of New York City, and make the drive from Waterbury, Connecticut to Newport for the day. And most remarkably, every single time we drove over the Newport Bridge, he said the same thing. He said it so often that my brother and I would lip sync along to what he said. He said, "Kids, you see that over there? That is the Naval War College, the College of the Admirals. Halsey, Spruance, Nimitz, they all went there." That's how we would say it too. I mean, that was a pretty good impression of John Sullivan. So you can see how personal this is for me. And this moment is it's beyond description. And I really thank all of you for giving me this chance. So here we are. We're at graduation. The band was playing John Philip Sousa. It's graduation. I'm told that graduation is a celebration. And so thanks for inviting me. And besides, every celebration can use another Sully. However, I must remind you that choices have consequences. So when you pick a program and budget guy to speak at your graduation, well, you get a program and budget guy at your graduation. So I cannot place at risk my program and budget guy union card. So I'm going to speak to you a little about force planning and the budget. But don't worry, I'm self-aware. I'm a graduate. And I know the risk associated with this journey. I pledge that I will not allow you, the entire graduating class, to fall into a budget topic-induced coma, which has been known to render previous classes at the War College combat ineffective in a matter of minutes. So that is my challenge. That is our challenge. And graduation hangs in the balance. But I like our chances. At the risk of a gratuitous volley of furious applause, I would like to speak to you about only one thing. You didn't fall for that. Okay, don't worry, I'll move on. All right. I want to talk about military operations in the future security environment and the preparation, design, and fielding of the force structure for warfare in the 21st century. These are my observations. This is how I see it outside my door, across the bridge, in the government, and within our military. The design and composition of the future force for the 21st century is in progress right now. Across the defense enterprise and over the next several years, the department, joint staff, and the services will build the force, craft the doctrine and tactics that will employ the force, and create the sustainment, training, and support that will operate that force. The department and the joint staff define force design as a period of time estimated to be between 5 and 15 years in the future, where the joint force innovates to discover new ways of operating and to integrate revolutionary capabilities that maintain and expand the competitive space. It also states bold new warfighting concepts and leap ahead technology will enable rapid improvements over incremental change. This is the departmental vision that awaits you when you return to the force, the fleet, the wing, the brigade, or the building. But there is one caveat. The force, from those bold new operating concepts with that leap ahead technology, well, it's not sitting there waiting for you to climb in and operate it. Much of that future force structure is under development today and now and will be for some time. Developing forces that will include capabilities like hypersonic weapons, artificial intelligence, uncrewed and unmanned systems, and many others. The force structure for the future is under construction and years from completion. However, what is ready for you right now are those bold new warfighting concepts. In today's military, there is a wealth of operating concepts of high quality and organizational significance. The Joint Staff and all the services have published several well-conceived and articulate operating concepts that are being used to shape and build the future force. Concepts like the Navy's Distributed Maritime Operations concept, the Marine Corps Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations concept, the Air Force Agile Combat Employment concept, and the Army. They have offered several outstanding concept documents at Army Futures Command in Austin, Texas, which proves that we all think better and more effectively in golf shirts and khakis. It's true. And operating, I'm only kidding. Okay. An operating concept is a description of how the military will operate in the future security environment. Operating concepts are a narrative. They tell a story. By design and with intent, operating concepts are written in the context of the future using a synchronized and common projection made by the intelligence community of that future security environment. This projection of the future is used to craft our strategies as well as our operating concepts. Operating concepts are both joint and service. They identify force capabilities. Those capabilities are assessed, analyzed, and once validated by the joint staff, provide the requirements that will be built into our future force structure through programming and budgeting. Operating concepts are a vital link between strategy and force structure. And most importantly, in the past, the military has used operating concepts to shape the future force to great effect. And I will speak about one. Conceived after the end of the Cold War in the 1990s, the Joint Staff published Joint Vision 2010. It was a family of operating concepts. It was authored by Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General John Shalikashvili. JV 2010 is what they called it. It described how the military would operate in a post-Cold War operating environment. It was the ways in which the joint force would execute full spectrum dominance against any adversary. The planning challenge, however, during the first decade after the post-Cold War period, there was great difficulty for the Department and the United States to identify a future adversary, as the U.S. faced few militaries with similar capability, similar capacity, and global reach. What made Joint Vision 2010 unique was that it focused on the U.S. capabilities and not on the relative relationship with an identified adversary. So full spectrum dominance was enabled by 4 supporting operating concepts, which employed collectively within a coordinated C2 architecture, delivered the required effects for the joint JV 2010 force. As I describe some of these, think about today's force. That force today, that was 30 years ago. The first supporting concept was dominant maneuver, which synchronized military operations enabled by a C2 system, which delivered reliable battle space awareness, enabled the maneuver force to maintain the initiative doing combat through the application of firepower. This describes military tactical actions during the first part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The second concept, precision engagement, described a system of systems for surveillance, targeting, and attack with weapons lethality and precise accuracy at long range. Today, precision munitions create great advantage for the joint force and can be considered the signature attribute of the U.S. military. Precision engagement was employed to great effect during Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, and other contemporary tactical operations. The third concept was focused logistics, and this provided the capability to sustain and support a large maneuver force using technology, transportation and logistics management systems with global responsiveness, in-stream visibility in the supply chain, rapid construction and deactivation of logistics hubs and forward basing facilities, and a global contracting system. It was also influential in delivering the taste of home for deployed military members by contracting for Pizza Hut and green beans in the remote areas of the security environment. That wasn't in there. I'm only kidding. It was not in there. Full dimensional protection supported freedom of action during deployment and maneuver through multiple layered defense for the joint force and its support facilities. This concept is also associated capabilities encountered difficulty with the relative advantage over the past years of military operation. Innovative adversaries employed asymmetric means to counter full dimensional protection. However, our protection function, like ballistic missile defense and air defense, produce effective protection systems, yet the potential volume of weapons of future adversaries presents a significant challenge to protection. So, as we look at the future of force structure design, the question becomes, what are the common characteristics of operating concepts that create an enduring and sustained impact on force structure? Well, first, operating concepts have great utility and impact during periods of time where militaries transition from one type of warfare to another. For example, point operations in Vietnam in the 60s and 70s transitioned to Cold War deterrence and presence operations in the 1980s. Operating concepts can be a useful guide for the military during these periods of transition. Second, operating concepts have significant impact whether budget resources are drawing down or expanding. For example, Joint Vision 2010 was developed after the end of the Cold War as the U.S. government sought a peace dividend and used downsizing and right-sizing as force planning constructs. Yet that 2010 Joint Vision force was what has been executing operations for the past 30 years and remains relevant today. In the end, budget resources do not constrain or restrain the effects of a quality operating concept on future force structure development. Operating concepts promote a shared understanding of the operational problem. They're a communication. They reach to other services. They express service approaches to tactical problems. They communicate desired capability requirements to the defense industrial sector. This shared comprehension promotes coordinated action between our defense sector and our military. And there is another beneficial impact on force planning from operational concepts. The unified and coordinated implementation and execution of the concept requires programming budget processes to have an effective across the enterprise approach that employs all functional areas within your service or within the department in the production of force structures with those capabilities. Across the enterprise approach, that's important. The Department and Joint Staff implemented a capabilities approach in 2003. The approach concluded that every force structure program, every one, includes material and non-material elements. And non-material elements were just and equally as important. What we call today is DOT-MIL-PIF. That's a great acronym. It means so many different things, but doctrine, organization, it goes on. But what it is it captures that the equipment that we make, there is non-material requirements to it. And it's not just the N8 organization or the requirements or the capabilities, the development organizations that create the force. It's across all codes, all functions within the service, within your joint staff. This means that we're all in it together. The collective success of our program now requires force planning organizations to synchronize functions towards the objective, thereby creating balance among operational factors, time, space, and force. And I know you can look at this as like a really transparent, overt plug for the value of operational art and the Joint Military Operations Department, but I can't help myself. But really I have this like long-standing ambition to be one of those TV pitchmen, you know, that sells, I don't know, in some kind of product, any product. Op art could be one of them. But I want to be like that guy on the Flex Seal commercial. The guy's amazing. Down in Louisiana, he gets that goo and he puts it around the house and the flood comes in and the house doesn't even get wet. The most amazing thing, he gets duct tape, that Flex Seal duct tape, and he makes a boat and he cruises around a swamp in Florida. So see, now I'm dreaming here. You know, I got to slow this down. But as your op art pitch man, this is one thing that is apparent. Even on your last day at the Naval War College, you can't make your escape without a little more Milan Vago and operational art. So, U.S. force planning. What remains unchanged with our force design for the future? Well, the force design will consider the future security environment. It will be guided by strategic direction. It will be described by operating concepts. It will identify desired capabilities. It will validate those required capabilities, and the capabilities will be fielded by service, program, and budgeting processes. And critically, it will all be done through collective and coordinated effort of all organizations, all warfare specialties, all branches, all functional areas, both military and civilian, all working together. And all of you will be part of it. You and the organizations that you lead and those that you serve. And I like your chances. The War College. The War College is both education and experience. A War College education builds and refines a pattern of thought. It allows us to think conceptually about the profession of arms. War College shapes our experience, builds our expertise, advances our professionalism, shapes our perspective, challenges our intellect. And that is the greatness of the Naval War College. Also, the War College experience is a shared endeavor. It is all of you. It's all of you with your peers, with your classmates, with your international partner, with your teachers, with your families, and with your neighbors. These relationships are the strength of the War College experience. Now it is your time. It's your time to return to your profession, time to return to the fleet, the field, and the force. It's time to grow the legend, and I hope to someday see you all again around the schoolyard. Thank you.
Professor Sullivan, on behalf of the students, staff, and faculty, I thank you for your comments and your ongoing contributions and service to our country. For each graduating class, one student is selected for recognition as the President's Honor Graduate. Recipients of this award are chosen based on their outstanding achievement across a spectrum of disciplines, including academic performance, participation in Naval War College activities, participation in civic and community activities, and promotion of armed government service in the public interest. Mr. Michael Bamonte, Senior Director of Development, Naval War College Foundation, please join Rear Admiral Chatfield in presenting these awards. For the College of Naval Warfare, the honor graduate for the March 2023 graduating class is Commander Andrew Darjani. Would you please come up to the stage to receive your award? Commander Darjani graduated #1 in the class, academic rep for Joint Military Operations. He competed against other senior service colleges in golf and tennis during Jim Thorpe Sports Day in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, winning second place in tennis. He participated in the annual Cardines Classic baseball game and the President's Cup golf tournament. He volunteers as a baseball coach and with the Boy Scouts of America. Along with a certificate, the Naval War College will be presenting him a Weems and Plath compass kindly gifted by the Naval War College Foundation. For the College of Naval Command and Staff, the honor graduate for the March 2023 graduating class is Lieutenant Commander Victor Schaefer. Lieutenant Commander Schaefer graduated #1 in the class. He received honorable mention for the General George C. Kenney Writing Award for writing on the topic of air power with an essay entitled High Value Space Asset Defense and Threat Mitigation. He served as the Senior Vice Commander for VFW Post 5390 in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, conducting over 200 hours of fundraising and promotion for veterans-related causes, and served as the keynote speaker at the Portsmouth, Rhode Island Veterans Day celebration. Along with a certificate, the Naval War College will be presenting him a Weems and Plath compass kindly gifted by the Naval War College Foundation. We will now give our honor graduates a few moments to address their fellow graduates and classmates.
Thank you, Captain Dieterle. Congratulations to everyone receiving a degree today. I have deep respect for all my classmates, both in the College of Naval Warfare and Command and Staff. Thank you to all the professors and instructors and staff. The quality of mentorship and education at this institution is unparalleled. Most importantly, thank you to my wife, Erin, supporting me while pursuing this degree. I want to take a couple minutes to share with you one of the important skills that I honed while I was here at the War College. And I think I'll start with a small story. So I'm in my first term here at the War College. I'm in my living room and I'm reading through the great works of Milan Vigo and other assigned documents, of course, trying to make sense of the elements of operational art and operational design. As I glance through the dense material listing the warfare functions, factors, and levels, I promptly said to myself, geez, this is a bunch of academic malarkey with no relevance to my everyday life or career. Then I went to seminar that week, and I found that the Army and Marine Corps counterparts in class not only knew the elements of operational art and design, but also employed them often. As I listened to them speak far more intelligently on the topic than I ever could, I asked myself, what if I was wrong? Maybe this stuff is relevant and important. I realize that it's human nature to assign a relevancy to a topic that's foreign or abstract or difficult or contradicts previously held beliefs. I decided that I'd ask that question, what if I was wrong, more often? As I progressed through the curriculum, analyzing Thucydides and Mao Zedong and ethical theories, foreign policy analysis, the temptation to dismiss these academic pursuits as irrelevant to an operational naval officer returned quite often. But instead, I stopped myself and asked, what if I'm wrong? What if this is important and relevant? It forced me to pull the string on the academic ball of yarn a bit harder and investigate the topic or assertion to find the relevancy and apply it to my naval career and everyday life. I found that the more often I looked, the more often the information was relevant and essential. In the end, the question, what if I'm wrong, was critical to making it here today to receive this degree from this excellent institution. As operational military officers, we pride ourselves in strong instincts, applying heuristics to make quick and correct decisions. However, sometimes these may cause us to dismiss important ideas and people. Before dismissing anything too readily, ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? Not in a fit of self-doubt or insecurity, but as a confidence-building exercise, ensuring that you have all the information needed to do the job right and make the decisions. I discovered the more I asked myself, what if I'm wrong? The more I found I was wrong, and I was glad that I asked. Thank you and congratulations again to everyone getting a degree today.
You take this. I'm sure I'm as wrong as Vic is all the time, but I hadn't thought about it that much. All right. Admiral, CNO Distinguished International Fellows, Provost, Deans, and Professors, thank you for your effort and thought over the last year to make this year as impactful as possible. As Sully said, it's enough time and it's not enough time. I would also like to thank my family for giving me the time to study and think. And Mom and Dad, it was a little bit easier to call you that I might tell you I might be honor graduate than I was getting kicked off scholarship in ROTC. So we're going in the right direction. So over the last year, I gained a much greater appreciation for the inner workings of the United States government, both past and present. But most of all, I gained an appreciation of our partnerships around the world. To sit in class and think about the problems of the world with foreign officers and intergovernment partners has been a special opportunity. And one, frankly, that greatly excites me to return to sea. I look forward to returning to sea and operating with you all. Thank you.
A Master of Arts degree in National Security and Strategic Studies, or Defense and Strategic Studies as appropriate, will now be conferred to the graduates. Will the graduates please rise and remain in place? Rear Admiral Chatfield, please approach the podium. Admiral, I have the honor to present the March graduates of the U.S. Naval War College, candidates for the Master of Arts in National Security and Strategic Studies, or Defense and Strategic Studies. They have been thoroughly examined and approved by the faculty.
By the power vested in me by the Secretary of the Navy, the accreditation of the New England Commission of Higher Education, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I confer upon you all appropriate degrees and diplomas. Please join me in saluting with our applause the March 2023 graduates of the United States Naval War College.
Graduates, please be seated. Beyond the requirements for graduation, certain individuals have distinguished themselves through academic excellence. For those in the top 5%, they are receiving a diploma with highest distinction. Those in the next 15% will receive a diploma with distinctions. Graduates will now receive their diplomas. Graduates, please proceed to the stage as your name is read. Guests are welcome to come forward to take pictures. Please try to hold your applause until all names have been read. Rear Admiral Chatfield, Professor Sullivan, Dr. Gibbons, and Dr. Hahn, please rise. Presenting the graduating members of the College of Naval Warfare. Commander Andrew Darjani, U.S. Navy. Commander Carl Hassenfratz, U.S. Navy. Commander Richard Lawler, U.S. Navy. Commander Brian Lee, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Michelle, U.S. Army. Commander Garrett Pankow, U.S. Navy. Colonel Jason Ruffin, U.S. Army Reserve. Lieutenant Colonel Jason Stucklick, U.S. Army National Guard. Presenting the graduating members of the College of Naval Command and Staff. Major Joseph Barnes, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Commander Michael Bockham, U.S. Navy. Major Martane Brown, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Commander Ivan Chernov, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Evan Coleman, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Commander Arlen Connolly, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Ariana Dans, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander David Duffield, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Casey Elbear, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Katie Irwin, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Zara Ann Farah, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Matthew Gulamison, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Ian Gill, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Travis Greenaway, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Timothy Harper, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Cody Hastings, U.S. Navy. Major Octavia Henningberg, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Commander Adrian Jones, U.S. Navy. Major Jonathan Kelly, U.S. Army, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Lindsay Lewis, U.S. Navy. Major Shannon McNulty, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Miller, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Michael Mully, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Joel Nelson, U.S. Navy. Unable to join us in person today, Lieutenant Commander Lauren Nelson, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander David Nostro, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Peter Pagano, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Logan Peck, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander David Porter, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Price, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Jenna Rose, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Roy, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Victor Schaefer, U.S. Navy, with highest distinction. Lieutenant Commander Drew Schnabel, U.S. Navy. Major Jacob Settle, U.S. Army. Commander John Shaffo, U.S. Navy, with highest distinction. Lieutenant Commander Andrew Shepard, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Jordan Smith, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Mary Smith, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Kaylee Snyder, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander David Steppe, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Andrew Zock, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Carson Talley, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Andrew Tenbush, U.S. Navy, with highest distinction. Lieutenant Commander Jonathan Tibbetts, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Major Michael Schuma, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Commander James Viano, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Christopher Waddell, U.S. Navy. Please join us in a round of applause for our graduates, honorees, and families. Rear Admiral Chatfield will now issue the charge to the graduates. Admiral.
Well, thank you, Captain Dieterle. Well, I would like to welcome and pass my greetings to our Chief of Naval Operations, distinguished international fellows, Admiral Barrera, Admiral Verma, Admiral Sanas. Thank you for being here and for supporting these programs. And to all general or flag officers who may be in attendance online or viewing this later, welcome. So it's normal now that we stream our graduation and that we record it for viewing later, because we understand that sometimes people can't travel or they can't be here at precisely this moment. But we know that all who are watching are cheering on these graduates. So to our Associate Provost standing in for Dr. Mariano, Tom, thank you for being here. Our deans, thank you for being here. Our chairs and our faculty and our wonderful staff here at the Naval War College. You've worked hard together and we set the bar high. And the whole goal is to equip our graduates with the types of critical thinking and the skills and competencies that they need to succeed, because they're going back into their professions and because the stakes are high. So now we see the fruits of our labor as these graduates proceed to their following assignments, advocates of the principles they've learned here, dedicated to the stability of our global security environment, and working hard to preserve the peace. I'd like to thank the Naval War College Foundation for your generosity. The gifts throughout the year provide critical funding for a margin of excellence in the experience of our students and our faculty and staff. And you've enriched the programs and initiatives through your offerings to the college. Thank you. And now to our dedicated military families, friends, loved ones. It's your support and your endurance in providing that support that have enabled these warfighters to protect and serve our great nation as long as they have, and they'll continue to rely on you into the future. And on behalf of our Chief of Naval Operations and our Navy, we want to say thank you. So now it's over to the graduates. Dear graduates of our spring class of 2023, Congratulations on this very well-earned achievement. As president, I am honored to acknowledge your hard work and all of your focused efforts and dedication throughout your academic journey here. Leaders, policymakers, and academics have described the next decade as dangerous, marked by complex and unpredictable global challenges. However, you're now Naval War College graduates. And so you have some frameworks and some theories and some references throughout history to deal with this complexity, these unknowns. So I'm confident that with the knowledge you have, the critical thinking that you've developed, and your vertical development as individuals, I'm confident that you will positively impact the world. As you embark on your careers, I urge you to remain committed to those universal values that you've seen here at this institution: honor, courage, and commitment. It's at the heart of our Naval War College community. And I know that you'll take those values and embody them as you go out to make a difference, to advocate for peace, justice, and human dignity. You now possess the tools, professionally and personally, to anticipate and prepare for the future. It's a unique skill set. Your goal is to create decisive advantage, because when we're in a position of advantage, our political leaders have the most flexibility to make decisions on behalf of our country. The lessons you have learned may be needed sooner than anticipated. The United States is a maritime nation. Our security and prosperity depend upon the seas, and our ability to maintain the freedom of navigation and commerce worldwide depends on our allies and partners doing just that. Our President Biden has stated in the National Defense Strategy that close collaboration with allies and partners is foundational for U.S. national security interests and our collective ability to address the challenges that the PRC and Russia present, while responsibly managing the array of other threats we face. You're graduating during a time of competition and conflict in our world. Just this year, the Russian Federation invaded a sovereign neighbor, bringing the interstate war back to Europe at a level not seen since the end of the Second World War. And we just celebrated a 1-year anniversary of that war making by Russia. We stand together with our allies and partners against this unprovoked aggression. We are employing all available security cooperation tools to support the Ukrainian people as they defend themselves against it. And although this conflict may seem far away, the war has directly impacted our Naval War College community because we have regularly had Ukrainian students here since 1995. And we no longer are able to host Ukrainian students because they have other more important duties at the moment. We look forward to welcoming them back when this conflict is over, and we support our Ukrainian alumni and their families and friends facing danger today at the hands of Russian instruments of national power, including military action in violation of international law. Our maritime service chiefs have committed to working together to build and lead and advance a rules-based international system through shared commitments with our allies and partners, to maintain a naval force ready to defend our shores, maintain sea control, and protect our national security and economic interests. It has never been more important than it is today. Now, at your new student orientation, if you can think back that far, I did mention vertical and horizontal development. Those concepts, those books, all that reading, but then the time to think and reflect and know yourself better, to understand yourself in the context of your surroundings, and to hopefully empathize and understand others in the context of their surroundings. You're leaders, and we need you to build a strong worldwide network of partnerships, united in a common purpose and a relentless drive to anticipate, think creatively, and lead through change. You will be frontline leaders in your services. You must set an example for inclusive leadership and human dignity, and you must hold your standards high for those around you. So your journey through education is not complete as you walk out the door with your degree. It's a lifetime of learning. That habit, I hope, has been instilled in you in your time here. I hope that you have a questioning attitude. I hope that you are skeptical. I hope that when somebody makes a broad and definitive statement, you have that internal voice that says, prove it. And you go and you find sources to verify. Information domain is a domain where we are seeing a great expansion of malign efforts to seize the narrative and to corrupt the truth. So please be skeptical as you go back out into the fleet, and please help find reliable sources to offer a trustworthy record to those that you talk to. And I hope when you do that, you will refer people to our Naval War College website, to our social media, to our YouTube channel, to our podcasts. These products and this content by this wonderful community that probes deeply and looks for truths. Captain Dieterle, I'm just going to conclude so that we can get all out of the room, but I have a sense that this is a test. I wanted to say thank you to Captain Dieterle, because Captain Dieterle, in response to my question about when her last day was, she mentioned something about April. And that means this is her last graduation. So I want to say on behalf of this college, thank you to Captain Cindy Dieterle, who has given us such a wonderful example of a caring leader and one who is trustworthy. Okay, I'm going to conclude. Over to you, Captain Dieterle.
All right, we are going to adjourn this ceremony. I'm going to say that this concludes our graduation ceremony, and I'm going to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Please be safe and smooth on your transition out.